test. It's up there. Check, please.
Test 1, 2. Perfect. So the audio is working.
Okay. Alright. Alright. Countdown begins. We are on in. Okay, make sure I can see.
Are we ready?
Begin in 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we are live. Thank you for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, hat fans at home, around the world, around the universe, across the multiverse. As always, I'm your man, the boss, the big man, the big boss, Ekb, owner, founder, and creator of Ekb Productions. We are so happy that you could join us and make us a part of your Friday night entertainment here from the newly built Ekb Productions studios right there. And we are on live with our second historic installment of the newly founded Ekb Productions podcast, Ekb TTS Talk That Shit, where we will be diving into all sorts of magnificent and wonderful topics. You never know what we'll get into, what we're going to talk about, what we're going to do. It's all up to the imagination because it's all about the creativity. That's what we cherish here on this channel. And as always, remember, you can get involved in what we do. Don't be scared. Drop a comment, drop a question, whatever you want down below. We will be taking that live from the audience at all times. So just, if you have something you want to ask or something you're curious about, just go. And we'll get to it as we go forward with the show. Now, with that further being said right there, I'd like to introduce a new wrinkle to the show. I wish I could get around it, but hey, you know, productions require crew. And I, as always, have one flanked by, unfortunately, right here, no stranger to any sort of commentary situation. It's my always less than faithful companion right here. Billy Boomerang is also on the podcast on the other side of the mic. Say hey to the viewers.
G'day, how are you? G'day. How are we all doing today? We doing good? Yeah. How's your day been so far?
It's been a very calm, boring day, as it should be. I find that very therapeutic right there. Peace and quiet is good for the soul, and everything. So it's good.
That's great. Did you get up to much today? I know it was calm and quiet, but did you have work today? Anything interesting at all?
No. But got some interesting stuff planned for the weekend and for the next week. Got a big vacation planned coming up. So
Got a vacation?
yes, first one I've took in over a year.
Sounds like fun. Where are you heading off to?
Alaska. Taking a tour to see those famous lights that everybody's talking about, and they tell me it's beautiful during the summertime. It's the best time to go, because I sure as hell wasn't going to go during the winter. So this is the perfect time to do it. Get some fresh Alaskan salmon. It's best when you get it fresh from the stream out of that water. The glaciers absolutely actually create the purest form of water and great coldest ice. So it should be wonderful. Yeah.
Sounds like you're excited to go.
Yeah. It's anytime spent away to detox and rest is time well spent, and I'm glad I get the chance to do that, because I don't. The world knows what's happened in these past couple of months. It's been a trying time, so it's maybe best that I go get away for a little bit.
It's good to be able to distance yourself from the past and prepare yourself for the future by going to take a break and helping you clear your mind a bit to distance yourself from the pain. Because I know a lot has happened for you, and it's been a tough couple of months.
Yeah.
But this vacation should help you push through it more.
Yeah. I've had some. I'm doing that, and when I come back, I got some positive developments. I actually want to tell the fans for the first time ever, I'm going to be bringing you along on also my new fitness journey that actually starts tomorrow. Getting back in the
new fitness journey.
Yes, I'm getting back in the gym. Finally, I had time to get back to the gym, get back to my NCAA days. Getting back into the shape I once was in. I can still bench press 350, but it's that you gotta line the stomach up so it looks the way. You look the way the looks you have matches the skills that you have. Yes.
You want to craft the body a bit.
Yeah. To clay mold.
Chisel
it and a little bit. Yeah. Beach. It's already beach season, so probably too late to.
That's true. It is beach season for you guys.
Yes, it's probably too late to get beach ready right now, but by the time next beach season comes along, I'll be in the habit and routine, and so I'll be able to go to the pool, take the shirt off, flex a little bit.
Exactly.
That's
my good.
Yes, like my hero, Mr. USA, Tony Atlas. I want that Mr. USA type body. So yeah.
You don't look like a god amongst men, per se.
Yeah, I don't ever consider myself a god, but yeah, that would be great if I did.
So you're taking us along with your fitness journey. How are you planning on taking us along with you for that?
Be posting as much as often as I can on the Instagram, and sharing some workouts or some nice protein and some dietary habits as well that I'm coming up with as I go along. I just ordered today's breakfast. I'm making starting off the day with some fresh fruits, some nice smoothies right there, some great recipes for that.
Sounds delicious.
Yes. I'm gonna be. I always cooked. I've always been a good cook, but now I'm gonna be doing a lot more cooking in house as often as I can. When I'm not, I work, I teach, and I go to school again for myself, and I have another job. So it's difficult to cook, but I'm gonna cook as often as I can. And if I do order out, which will be unfortunately more often than not, it'll be from vegetarian and vegan type places. So that way, the food that I'm intaking from the streets is equally as healthy as the food that I'm preparing inside the house.
So it seems like you're wanting to balance a busy life with a healthy dietary, a healthy diet per se, as well as trying to fit in extra, how do I word this? Trying to fit in more time to prepare your body, work out, do some exercise. You've got a lot on your plate currently with all this. How are you seeing yourself manage your time? How are you planning to manage your time with all this?
Actually, it's funny. I was in for lack of better terms, a courting situation a few weeks ago that started, and the person asked me that exact same question. How do you balance it to you work two jobs, you go to school, and you got your show, and you got all these other things that you like to do, and you have such an active life because you have all these activities you like to do. You like to snowboard, you like to go skating, you like to roller skate, you like to go mini golfing, you like to go on vacation, you like to go on tours, you like to go to museums, you like to go to art galleries, you like to go out to eat. How do you do all these things? And it really just comes to I was just always good at scheduling. Before I take on any new task, I have already in my head mapped out exactly what I'm going to do, when I'm going to do it. I've already come up with a plan. You have a plan, you make a plan, you work on the plan, you execute the plan, you stick to the plan, execute the plan. That's it. This is the game plan, as The Rock said. Learn it, live it, love it. That's the end of the day. That's the end of the plan. That's it. I have always just been that kind of. You gotta train. Yeah, my mind was always ready to go, so I trained my mind to focus. Now I just gotta train my body to catch up with that, right there. Cause I don't have a sleep problem. I kind of do because I stay up super late. But the thing is, I can go to sleep for 4 hours and wake up as if I've been asleep for 10. So I don't really have that problem.
So would you say this ethos of planning ahead, scheduling and all that has benefited you within your productions with NXT and the AEW, the way you've been creating these products
Well,
to bring out to the world?
Well, AEW is not my product. That's my brother's. But so far as dealing with NXT, I don't think that there's been any foreseeable issues because I think we've created such a powerful, comfortable brand that the fans can invest in it, and they want to, give that same feeling back to it. So if something happens where we're delayed or need to take time off, like right now when I take this time off, the show will be off the air, but for at least that time that I'm gone. But they know that, hey, when he comes back, it's going to be even more so because it's all about giving the fans what they want. I never not listen to my audience, but I also have to keep in mind that there's an expression we use in this line of work that you always leave the audience wanting more. And I think that if I pull off a little bit, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. People tell you all the time, when you're streaming, you have to be consistent because otherwise you lose your audience, and that's very, very true. But I've never taken months and months away from my craft. Even in the face of tragedy, I was gone for a little less than 3 weeks, if that. Yeah, and I got right back to work because we constantly have to keep moving forward. If you don't move, if you want to keep your top position, you got to stay on top of your work. If not, you fall to the wayside.
Speaking of the topic of moving forward within NXT, are there any current plans, storyline plans that we haven't seen panned out yet that you're hoping to see in the near future?
Plans in the near future. Well, currently looking at if I were to hold on. I'm sorry, I have to charge for a second here.
It's all good.
Okay. Yeah. So, uh, is we're on the topic of talking about how we do the current storylines. Current storylines. Sorry. Yeah. So current storylines. I'm looking at to see how the we saw in a couple of weeks ago. The current thing that's going on with the returning of Bray Wyatt for the first time in NXT's history in years. That's a big deal. I'm looking forward to seeing how that story progresses with him and Uncle Howdy. I think all of our audience would be very interested in that. I'm interested to see the constant development of Rich Holland as this big young solo star. I think our fans are really starting to invest in him. I'm interested to see where he can go. Uh, I want to see more out of our junior heavyweights division. Not in terms of action, because the action in the junior heavyweights division is stellar. Every match they usually have is usually very, very good and critically acclaimed. But I mean more in terms of investing in the concept of what Dusty Rhodes used to tell us all the time. He said, well, that was good and entertaining and everything, kid, but tell me, where's the money? Where's the money? You know what I mean? What give me the reason to invest in it? Where is my money going? I want to know what's the payoff, what's the return on my investment. I think we haven't really gotten that as of late from the junior heavyweights, but I'm sure Leo Rush, who is our current champion, is capable of pulling that off. And I'm seeing a lot of good things out of Austin Theory, the current international champion, and I'm interested to see where that story between him and Carmelo Hayes and that stellar start to that best of 7 series they got going on right now. I can't wait to see how that goes and that moves forward, as well as the stuff with Grayson and everything else. And for our women, I've been very, very impressed, especially in regards to that superstar showcase we just had, seeing Dakota Kai, who just made a return a few weeks ago. She's tearing it up. I think we can expect big things from her. Xia Li had an impressive in-ring run. And Aaliyah surprised all of us with her tenacity right there. As well as Katana Chance, our former champion. I'm interested to see now that she's at the gutter how she plans to climb her way back up to the top, especially after waiting 2 years to get a title opportunity. And that'll be interesting as well.
Well, speaking of the women's division, I see that the current women's champion, Cora Jade, has left. Is there any plans for how we're going to deal with the title now that Cora Jade is no longer within the company?
Do we deal with it in the tradition of the way we've always dealt with it? We don't get discouraged and say, oh, hopefully, time has come to part ways and hopefully we see each other down the road or whatever. But I'm glad you brought that up, because I'm very pleased to announce that there will be held, in the grand tradition of how we do things here, a tournament within the next couple of weeks to crown the new NXT Women's Champion. And that champion will be crowned in the main event of NXT Gold Rush, which is set to be held a few weeks, 4 or 5 weeks from now, post Great American Bash. Right on. So that I'm looking forward to that as well.
Is there any you can reveal to us that will be competing within that tournament?
Well, as I just said, maybe I didn't say that in the tournament, but I'll say it now. Dakota Kai and Xia Li definitely gonna be in there. Katana Chance gonna be in there. It's an eight woman tournament, so we'll announce more as the weeks go forward.
Speaking of NXT and the way you've been presenting it, where do you find your inspiration to create these storylines?
Well, that's an interesting question, because to be honest with you, the answer is just what we're doing now. It's just life, communications I get from other fans or other people I might be working with, and when overlap happens. I don't know if you could tell because you saw I show a lot. See that new inspirational posters that just got from my wall. Yeah, the Batman and Marvel. I get a lot of inspiration as a writer because from there's two things that, well, creatively speaking, I'm not going to talk about all the other stuff I do outside of this, but because that doesn't apply, at least not in the course of this conversation. But two things that you know that defines Elijah K. Brown as a thinker, and that's comic books and professional wrestling. And I don't; those two things are not mutually exclusive. They're really not when you think about it. Every wrestler that you think and see on TV that's famous, I guarantee in some way, shape, or form, they're influenced by some sort of comic book. I mean, right off the top of your head, your thought may come to Seth Rollins. Definitely a comic book fan. No doubt. Peyton Royce was a comic book fan. Liv Morgan, comic book fan. Alexa Bliss, comic book fan. Johnny Gargano, biggest comic book fan. Elijah K. Bryant, comic book fan. No doubt, man. This is one of the oldest forms of storytelling you can find. And you notice, whether they change the story, adapt the story, evolve the story, or retell the same story a different way, it works just like wrestling. People want to invest in it. They want to know where's the money, and they want to keep seeing how those characters progress, how those characters evolve, what makes them different, what makes them unique. What if, you know, that's the interesting thing about, even though people hate on it, and we'll probably talk about this a little later with other topics, but let me just give a little hint. Like the movie Wakanda Forever, Black Panther Wakanda Forever. The first thing about it was Chadwick Boseman, God rest his soul, was no one can replace him. We already know that. That's obvious. But the interesting thing about the narrative was, what is Shuri going to do now? She lost her mom. She's lost her brother. She's lost her father. She's still a young girl, relatively speaking, despite being so intelligent. And her emotional intelligence, as you can see from the movie, just wasn't there yet. Because she hasn't processed grief. And she had no time to, right now. And grew up so quick with so much rage right there is, how do you mellow yourself out that in the face of such great opposition like Namor, who was, I think was, if I had to pick a villain out of all the MCU characters I've seen, and that's saying something, even though I have a problem with Marvel villains, and once again we'll get to that later, but if I were to pick one out of the book and I say, who made you feel like that's a fucking villain? Yes. Prince Namor is the guy I would go to right there. That's like, he is literally a character from fiction that I think I would like to, if I could, take fiction into reality, make him a wrestler. I guarantee that character in 2023 would get over. And that's
speaking of the link between comic books, movies, and all that, and professional wrestling, and you said you're a writer yourself.
Yes.
What are your current beliefs in this writer strike in America? Do you believe there'll be an impact in the professional wrestling industry from these strikes?
No. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I know, and you know, and the rest of the world knows that those two things are mutually linked because of the commonality and the fact that both industries use writers, and the fact that WWE is considering itself sports entertainment. But that's not going to affect them because they're not regulated like actors and writers are. Those are two different things. They keep theirs. They're a publicly owned company that is self-regulated like it's a privately owned company. That doesn't affect the other thing. A writer gets fired, a writer quits, you are expendable. They will easily replace you. That is it. But with that being said, so far as wrestling, with regards to the writer strike, I 100% stand with the writers. As a writer, I get what they're coming from. They are literally, without hyperbole, the backbone of what comes to media and to comic books and to cinema. They write the stories. How you gonna have a movie with no story? You just basically have a bunch of people on screen. That's it. If you have no story, no one knows who they are, where they come from, what their motivations are, what the reasons are. Writers flush all that stuff out, and it's hard work. Sure, it's fun. When I sit down to write these scripts and write these stories or tell stories about wrestling or whatever it is, I'm having fun. And the audience can feel that, which is why I think they relate to what we do, because they can tell. If I'm actually having a good time and I'm not pissed at what's going on the camera, which is kind of rare in this line of work because it's very complicated and you're depending on other people to do their job right, and it's frustrating when it doesn't go your way. But if it does, when it does pull pan out, I am having the time of my life, and the audience can feel that same energy right there. So if the writer's pissed off and they're not writing, the audience is gonna feel that, and it rejects and reflects in the work that they do. And you cannot get more for nothing. So if you want them to up the production, you have to raise the pay. That's the problem that Marvel's been having ever since COVID. And during COVID, they raised the amount of content that they were trying to produce, and so that doubled the rate and the hours the writers had to work, and it was for the same amount or less pay and less benefits. That's not fair. I don't stand for that. I don't like that. And the product suffered because of that. You can clearly see all those projects that came between 2020 and now have been absolutely terrible. And I'm not for it. I'm not all of them, but once again, we'll go to that later. But you know, you can tell it's horrible. Yeah. So and as a person, I can say this on camera. I used to work for a union. I'm a union man, so I'm always pro labor. I'm pro worker. I might be a boss, but I'm a fair boss. I don't believe in taking away benefits or not raising pay. You gotta raise it to a living wage. I work 2 jobs. I shouldn't really have to. The second job is supposed to be maybe for fun, where you can like pick and choose where you want to work because you just maybe want an extra few bucks for take your girl out to dinner or your boyfriend out for dinner, whatever. It ain't supposed to be this way where you gotta work 2 or 3 jobs, 4 or 5 kids, can't pay your wages, can't buy your food. That's hard times. I know hard times. Yeah. So that's all I got to. As Forrest Gump would say, that's all I got to say about that.
Now, speaking on the topic of your belief of how the film industry has been suffering heavily, and as seen in Marvel, the quality of the films have gone down. Linking that to what's currently in theaters now with the Barbie film and the Oppenheimer film, which one would you say you're more excited to see out of the two? If you had to pick one of the 2 films to watch, which one would it be?
To be honest with you, I'm gonna have to pass on that because I get the hype around both of them. I don't know if I should reveal this because I haven't even read the script or sold anything, and I don't want to give other people stupid ideas or whatever, especially with regards to Transformers and everything that just came out. But I'm a guy, first and foremost, so I don't see myself, unless I'm taking my niece to go see a Barbie movie. I don't really see the point in that. Although I know, because Margot Robbie, who plays Barbie, who also played in one of my favorite movies, I was just watching it, The Suicide Squad. She plays Harley Quinn. Love her to death. I don't think she can do anything wrong in a film, especially a film like that that's made for her. So I know it's going to be good. And Sam Liu, who plays Shang-Chi in The Legend of Ten Rings, one of the best films of Phase 4. I don't give a fuck what nobody say. That was one of the best made films. That film didn't suffer because of this crap. So I'm not mad at that. So I know that movie's going to be good. Oppenheimer, I would watch solely for... I'm not a drama kind of guy. I always like a good drama. Like the movie The Whale with Brendan Fraser. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. It became one of my favorites like instantly. And he picked a good film to come back to the industry on. Even though technically he came back through, once again, because of comic books. He played, what's that? Cliff. He played Cliff, Robot Man in Doom Patrol on the what's that? the HBO Max right there. Yeah, for DC Comics right there. So it's all good. Once again, so I already knew right there. I'm not a drama kind of guy, but I do like a good. I'm a fan of good storytelling. That's what people forget to say. I'm a fan of good stories. Sell me a story. Oppenheimer is one of those things where it feels like they could sell me on a good story for him. I don't like things about destruction, so I probably wouldn't really go see that either unless I was like teaching my class about, cinema or about nuclear energy or maybe about World War II or something like that. That would be, I would have to have a reason to really go see it right there because I don't really have a compelling reason to go watch either. Even though I'm rooting for both, I support both, and I think they're both going to do pretty good at the box office because they're coming out at the same day, so I guess we'll see. I think Barbie will make more, though, because it kind of has that Wonder Woman type feel to it, and little girls and little kids, I think, because it's a more kid-friendly movie right there.
Now, talking about the current films and your love of comic books,
yes.
What is your thought on Ezra Miller and the current Flash movie coming out? What do you think
already out?
Portraying
I saw it on the day of, or rather the day before.
So you saw, yes. What are your opinions on Ezra Miller and all of his controversies that have happened being allowed to portray the Flash?
That says it all right there.
Yep. A strong sound of silence. I agree.
I don't care for that guy. I don't like him. It's disgusting. It's despicable. And the fact that they continue to allow him to portray such... it doesn't even match. Now, I can understand if he was playing a complete dick of a character, then maybe I would have been able to sweep it under the rug. Maybe. And that's like only 2% of that happening. The Flash represents truth, justice, honesty, right there. Equality, right there. Everything you see in Flash is everything you want your child or your son to grow up to be. He's like, aside from Superman, he's like the ultimate symbol of being good. He's a really, really good person at his core, right there. Ezra Miller has shown he is not that. So what the hell is he doing playing the Flash? That makes zero sense. And here's what I was hoping you'd ask that, because here's what I would have done. If you know, because that's the thing about studios, once they've already spent money to do something and already set a release date, they very rarely are going to change track. They are not going to do that. But here's what I would have did. You've already filmed everything, right? You can't recast or anything. I think fans would have went for this if they had did this. If they had at the end, right? The end of the movie, where Barry's traveling through the Speed Force and he sees all those different universes, he sees Adam West Batman, he sees Nicolas Cage's Superman, he sees Superman Returns, he sees Henry Cavill, and all these different universes of different heroes. What I would have done is, once he finally gets towards the finish line and he resets the universe, that big flash of light comes on, and he wakes up, in the next day back in his own reality, like our universe. As soon as he wakes up, right, and looks in the mirror to see if everything's changed, right? You know who should have been looking back in that mirror? Grant Gustin, who played the Flash in the CW. That's what I would have did. I guarantee the audience would have flipped for that. And they should have just kept it a secret, like if they didn't even know, like no one knew what was going to happen. People would have accepted it. Because that means they're starting fresh, they're starting from the beginning, and they're doing what the fans wanted all along anyway. Because in reality, everybody just wanted Grant to be the Flash on TV and the Flash in the movie. And I think he would have accepted it, because the movie was being made and thought about 3 or 4 years before he decided to stop playing the Flash on TV. That's all they had to do. That, in my opinion, that's what I think they should have done.
Now, speaking of like characters in Hollywood, people in Hollywood with horrible past of horrible actions they've conducted, that's also been seen within the wrestling industry as well as the British independent scene during COVID. As part of the Speaking Out movement.
That's right, Speaking Out. Yeah, I remember.
How do you see the British independent scene recovering post Speaking Out? Do you see the British independent scene coming back to its previous glory?
Well, anything is possible. You never say never in wrestling. That's the expression. And I want to see the British independent scene get back to where, because I'm a fan of progress wrestling. I want to see that get back on its feet. I want to see that to be the standard bearer of what it means to be British wrestling again. I would like to see that. And as long as there's wrestling fans and people who always want to grow up to be wrestlers, I don't think the industry will ever really die. So it's possible. But right now, no. It's the industry's been very slow and very still. As a result of a double whammy, it was COVID plus Speaking Out that like kind of killed, plus the advent of NXT UK and all that other stuff that kind of really killed the British independent scene. Yes, and I think it's going to take another, by my count, another 10 years before they get back to even 2/4 of where they were at before that stuff went down. But I'm rooting for them. I'm rooting for them. I really am.
Now, I'm presuming you watched the most recent episode of SmackDown. Have you watched that episode yet?
I've been very, very busy. I haven't watched tonight's episode yet. I'll have to. I have it. I have it DVR'd, but I haven't rewatched it yet. Tomorrow morning.
Alright, then I won't proceed with the next questions about the show. I just needed to make sure so we don't have any spoilers. Keep it short. Nice and spoiler free, let's say. So far we've talked about your opinions on the current writer strike, movies, NXT inspiration, and all that. Speaking of a bunch of writers and NXT, would you say you work predominantly alone in creating up storylines for the company, or is there a bit of a group that you work with to help that we bounce off ideas with each other?
Creatively speaking, there's no exact creative team anymore. Mainly because of, I know how this will sound out loud, but there's a bit of a turnover rate. So there's never a set team. Unfortunately, I would like to have a set team, but hiring people, getting them to stay, or getting them to agree to do things a certain way, or get them to acknowledge, hey, you need to do things this, our way, and then, we have to work together to get things done. It's very, very difficult for some people to cope with. So it's a lot of lone wolfing when it comes to writing for me, which I don't mind. I find happiness in this. Sitting there making something out of nothing. Like, okay, how did you start? Where you go? Where can I take this character? Where is it going to be in the next 8 weeks? Or, okay, if it continues to regress and do good, I think maybe we can do a little more, and finding a place for everybody. I do have every character's response. We're all the captain of our own ship, which means we all can, write stuff for ourselves. So, and if it's good right there, you just, the door is always open. Just say, hey, boss, I got this idea. I think you'll like it. Give it a read, tell me what you think, and if it's good, yeah, I'll say that's what we're doing on TV this week. Just do it. We'll go from there right there. Keep going, and once if you're excited and it's good right there, you get me excited, because once I'm in something, I'm all in. I gotta see how that story ends right there, because I'm invested in it. Every little bit of everything that goes down here, I got my fingers in a lot of pies, for better or worse. That, at the end of the day, I think that we get to where we need to go, and that's the important thing, because it's about the collective, not the individual, and I think that's why we have so much longevity, the fact that I'm always thinking about the company as a whole and not just one individual person or just my own ego right there. We have to put that to the side for the betterment of the product.
And speaking of you being enjoying a lot of the storyline and progress that is made, what would you say has been the most successful storyline within NXT and this company that you have created?
That I've created? Oh, that's saying something.
Created what is the most successful storyline, as well as what was the most enjoyable storyline for you?
Most successful, most enjoyable. I think it was. That's a difficult question because if I'm attached to everything, how can you pick a favorite? But
you can pick multiple if you want. I want to get a rough idea of what you are most entertained by.
What I'm entertained by? Well,
what past stories have you been most attached to and most entertained by?
I think that the storyline that probably most entertained me was one we did back in 2019. It was, well, this is a behind the scenes thing anyway, so I'll tell you anyway. It happened by accident. We had, I think I don't remember who the other wrestler was, but we had Kenta Hideo Itami in the ring, and he was fighting some other wrestler, and for whatever reason, I don't know how, our feed got glitchy. It got cut for somehow. And everybody's wondering how it happened. And I very quickly thought on my feet. I just said, what happened? The lights are out in the arena. In the ring, you can still see shadows and figurette, but there's a red light and red fog everywhere. And I start saying, what's that smell? What's that smell? Like, what are you talking about? What you talking about, boss? What's that smell? What's that smell? Wait, it's ginseng. It's ginseng. What the hell is that? Look, so let's talk about what's ginseng. And people didn't realize, it's a Chinese herb. And so it started to spread all over the ring. And Hideo's opponent got swept out of the ring. We don't know how. And Hideo's just sitting there like nothing happened. Like, what, and so we dismissed the match and we moved forward in the show. A couple weeks go by, it's time for Hideo to do another match. He's in the ring with someone else. And it's with these high-profile opponents. Happens again. So I continue with it. Goes again. Smoke, ginseng, the whole 9 yards. Oh my God. So, guy's gone again. Dale says, I don't know what happened. And a few weeks go by, people are asking him who or why this isn't happening. And we're having a tournament to crown the new International Atlantic Champion. The precursor to the International Championship. And he's facing Cedric Alexander, I think, is the last match of the tournament. And what it ended up happening was, in the end, it's a triple threat with him, Cedric, and Boa. The Chinese standout from the NXT tryouts all those years ago. And what ended up happening was, at the end, it happens again. But this time, Boa ends up hitting Cedric in the back of the head with the standing strong kick. And then Kenta follows up with the GTS right there. Pins and wins the championship. The ring now floods with this red and black smoke, and he's standing over top of him in this great pose right there. And he reveals a big silhouette on the screen of this dragon, this really cool looking dragon we found. And we put it together. Xia Li stands over there at the top with Sanaloof, and they salute, they give the Kung Fu salute, and we call that the Order of the Dragon. It was just a happy accident, but it was so fun of a story to tell. Because I like, implied, I love Kung Fu movies right there. Shang-Chi is one of my favorite Marvel characters because I love martial arts movies. And I was like, damn, I never got a chance to really tell the story of a kung fu artist in wrestling. So maybe this is a chance to mix it. I mean, Hideo is Japanese, but and the other two are Chinese, but it works out perfectly. So we did that, and he said, and everybody thought that it made perfect sense. When they looked back, behind the scenes, they were like, Hideo acting like at first he didn't know what happened because the story's being made as we go, but like him being the leader of the Order of the Dragon the whole time, making this a part of his scheme, worked out perfectly. So, and that was a fun narrative to tell, right? To tell that kind of story. Yeah. Yeah. So, and as for a story I had the most investment in, I guess it's the. I'd be remiss if I didn't bring this up. The Grinch Who Stole NXT storyline that we did with LA Knight last year. Right, the conspiracy theory storyline. That was pretty good because it's one of the longest tenured stories we had. It takes a lot, especially with the way the games change and the way the industry works, to keep a story relevant and progressed for a whole year. And the fact that we pulled that off is nothing short of miraculous. Everyone was invested in that story right here. LA Knight being the ultimate crook, taking the story that should have been done by CM Punk all those years ago and actually bringing it to life in our version and our light and the way we wanted to get it done. It's just amazing right there, from the one match where we get robbed to the next match, where we finally, good triumphs over evil, or else, everything here is gone. And so that's good. And that's a classic, another hero versus villain tale that I enjoy telling.
Mm-hmm. So, speaking of LA Knight, do you think we'll ever see him back in the company within the future? Or do you think the bridges have been burnt between LA Knight and the management, that there is a good chance that you won't see him within NXT?
Well, as my understanding, he's just just at home right now, not doing much of anything. But wish him all the best in his future endeavors. And as he said, we never say never in wrestling. I think it's always possible. People can always come back. NXT is never gone forever. It's really more like a revolving door that gets stuck sometimes. You gotta push till you get it moving again. So, anything's possible. We welcome everyone with open arms. Hopefully Cora will come back, LA will come back, Sure, Malachi will come back. A lot of people we'd love to have back.
Speaking of people leaving and hoping to have come back, Thursday Night Turbo was originally hosted by another person who's now no longer within the company. Are you still on speaking terms with that person, or is there no contact between
somehow I knew that
individuals?
I knew that would come up. I'm on speaking terms with pretty much everybody. I don't really get cut off that much, but there's been no talks of any reconciliation or contracts or anything like that. And if in order for me to even consider that, it would have to be serious talks and discussions about what would be the best way to move forward, because it can't just be the traditional song and dance. The more you let people come back in after they've done something wrong, what incentive do they have to do right the next time? You gotta draw a line somewhere, and you can't be anyone's doormat. And I'm not for that right there, because I can't. And I don't think, with no disrespect to anybody, I don't think the show's really suffered that much without those three people here. The last 3 weeks of shows that we've put on have actually been, despite some being shorter than others, which also is not a bad thing, because people respond more to a short, compact, but good show than a long and drawn-out type of really incompatible show. The quality has actually been very consistent, where it's picked up in a lot of places. Like that recent match with, as we said, with between Austin Theory and Carmelo Hayes there, and that best of 7 series, the return of Braun Breaker, which really recently shook things up in NXT. A lot of positive new things have happened since then, and I don't think the show has really slowed down. So, so either way, it's fine. But like I said, I'm not a hard person or a hard person to please. I'm not cold or hard-hearted. So anytime people want to pick up the phone and say, "Hey, I want to talk about," let's discuss what we can do to fix things, I'm open to it.
Okay. That makes sense. Is there any other stuff you wish to discuss today within this time that we have allotted? Anything you're wanting to promote? Anything you're wanting to just get off your chest? Anything at all?
Oh, yes. I would now officially like to take the time to talk about the next NXT Premium Live event, to talk about the Great American Bash. Yes, that's going to be an awesome show. A nice and light celebration of our great country. You know how patriotic I am. I would like to announce the full card here tonight, right there. Little references here while I have them in front of me. I apologize. So, with that being said, we will see the continuation of Carmelo Hayes versus Austin Theory in the best of 7 series for the International Championship. That'll be on the books. We will also finally see Tony D, after the result of winning the title eliminator match, face the NXT North American champion Tyler Bate for the NXT North American Championship. We'll see that, as well as we'll see one of the first matches in the NXT Women's Championship Tournament, which leads up to Gold Rush, which I revealed earlier. We will see Dakota Kai set to take on. Sorry, the email. Yes, we'll see. As I was saying, we're set to see Dakota Kai, as she will take on the emphatic, impressive Empress of Tomorrow, Asuka, which is sure to be a very, very interesting match. In the NXT Juniors division, we'll see Leo Rush put his title on the line against the Technical Wizard and holder of the Bret Hart medal, right there, Bobby Fish. And interestingly enough, this match will actually be held under Bret Hart medal rules, which goes to Bobby's advantage. So that ought to be very, very, very interesting. And we are set to see right there. Big Ridge the Fridge Holland take on Finn Balor, the Prince, in a rematch. And finally, as you know, the big main event, Johnny Frickin' Wrestling set to defend the NXT Championship against the returning Mad Dog in Braun Breaker, which is sure to be interesting right there.
Looks as if we've got a hit card coming up for that show.
Indeed, right there.
What are you tuning to see to be match of the night from that card? What match are you most excited for?
It's interesting either way. Because of the story behind it, Carmelo versus Theory. But from an in-ring perspective, Gargano versus Breaker, because Breaker and Gargano have experience wrestling each other outside of NXT, which most people don't know. So they already kind of feed off of each other. Whereas Theory and Carmelo, they have a solid in-ring chemistry, but they're telling a bigger narrative as you can see, the contrary between those two matches. And it'll be very, very interesting right there. And in addition, I also maybe left this out right there. For the Pacific match between Ridge Holland and Finn Balor, Grayson Waller will actually be ringside on commentary for that particular match.
Intriguing.
Don't ask me why. Don't ask me why. We don't want to spoil too many narratives.
Yeah, I know, of course. And hopefully Grayson Waller doesn't interfere and help out his friend Austin Theory. I'm presuming you have him banned from ringside for this Best of 7 series?
Yes. No, we wanted it to be straight up between these two individuals. And we will get the best result out of the both of them. Currently, as it stands, Carmelo is up 1-0. So the next match coming up is match 2. And so we'll see where we go from there.
Now, we have a few wrestlers that are currently on the injured list. Can you give any timeline of return for any of our injured wrestlers?
Probably the next 60 days is my guesstimate.
For who? Who will be back from their injury within 60 days? Do you believe?
Well, there's Dominic Dijakovic right there. Jake Hager will be cleared in a few weeks. Liam Mahon. A few mystery people that I cannot, for obvious reasons, reveal in the course of this show. Yeah, All Ego Ethan Page finally set to make his in-ring debut in a few weeks. Trick Williams and Big E are set to come back as well. So there's a lot of people. Von Wagner, a lot of people that are. We have currently eight or 6 people that are out right now that are gonna
Is there any update on their status of Bailey? We know after her match with Cora Jade, she had to take time away due to injury. Is there any update on her timeline?
She's in good spirits. And something tells me that she'll be back a lot quicker than people are anticipating. No doubt with no doubt with a chip on her shoulder. Yeah.
When does she not have a chip on her shoulder?
Yes, there's that too. Yeah. It'll be all right. Controversy creates cash.
Exactly. Just like as you said earlier, show you where the cash is.
Yes.
With each story.
Yes. Yes, nothing but time and opportunity. Opportunity creates chaos. Chaos creates controversy. And controversy creates cash. Unfortunately, that's a skill or some knowledge that some of my mutual friends in the industry have failed to realize as of yet.
Well, thank you much for this time and coming on this podcast and revealing so much information and letting us have more of a deep dive of who you are as a person. So thank you for coming out onto the Ekb Production Talk That Shit podcast.
No, but well, it's good to be featured on my own show. I guess. But it's good. I'm happy to do it, and I hope in the future we get to do more of this because I really enjoy taking a deep dive into these sort of things. I think, and some of these issues are really necessary. I think we should have more conversations about them openly and honestly, and that's why I created this show, specifically so that, we peel back the curtain and we show that, we're people first and foremost, not just entertainers. We have different thoughts and opinions and things like that. That, and it's possible that we can come together. Because it's not just happenstance that this show has been in existence for 7 years. It's not. I had to work hard to achieve that end. And it's a team effort. And you guys watching, you are a part of that team. So don't ever feel like you're not contributing, because without you, there is no us. The quickest way to piss me off is to deny the show, to deny the fans something. I don't want to do that. Without them, there is no entertainment. There's no WWE. There is no NXT. There is no Ekb Productions without you. So I really, really appreciate that, and I appreciate the support.
Thank you very much.
No
We hope to see you all next time on the Ekb Productions presenting Talk That Shit podcast.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. God bless you. Good nights and good fights. Bang.